My mom convinced my pregnant wife that I'll cheat, just like my dad did to her. But now I've uncovered the truth. I'm not even my father's son. Hello, Reddit I plus here. I never thought my marriage would start unraveling before our baby was even born. But it was happening. Slowly, painfully. Like a tiny crack in glass spreading until the whole thing shatters. And it all started with my mother. My wife, Olivia, was 7 months pregnant when I noticed the shift. We had always been solid, laughing over burnt pancakes on Saturday mornings, whispering about baby names in the dark. But suddenly, she was different, distant, watching me with this quiet suspicion she never had before. At first, I chalked it up to hormones, to stress. But then she started making comments. I know men lose interest in their wives when they're pregnant. I don't want to be blindsided like your mom was. Your dad did it, and men repeat patterns, right? It didn't take long to figure out where she was getting this from. My mother had been filling her head with poison. My mom and dad divorced when I was 15. It was ugly. Screaming matches, slammed doors, lawyers on speed dial. My father had cheated, repeatedly, and my mother had never forgiven him. She never let me forget it either. You're just like him, you know. I spent my whole life proving her wrong. I was faithful. I was loyal. And yet somehow, my mother had still managed to convince Olivia that I was a ticking time bomb destined to betray her. I confronted my mom about it, furious. "Why the hell are you doing this?" I demanded. She just looked at me with this weary, almost pitying expression. "I'm protecting her. She deserves to know the kind of man you'll become." I stormed out, fuming, but the damage was already done. Olivia started checking my phone. She'd ask me where I was even when I was just running errands. She flinched when another woman so much as looked in my direction. It wasn't fair. It wasn't me. And then, just as I was starting to lose hope that she'd ever trust me again, I uncovered something that changed everything. It started with an old shoebox. I was helping my mom move some things into storage when I came across it. It was stuffed with old letters, hospital bracelets, my birth certificate, and a DNA test. It was yellowed with age, stuffed beneath a stack of papers like a secret no one was supposed to find. But I did. And when I opened it, my whole world tilted. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. My father, the man I had resented for years, the man I had fought so hard not to become, wasn't even my biological dad. I stared at the paper, my pulse pounding in my ears. "Mom." My voice was hoarse. "What the hell is this?" She froze. Then without looking at me, she muttered, "You weren't supposed to find that." She sat down heavily, rubbing her face. "He wasn't your father." "Then who is?" She shook her head. "It doesn't matter. He raised you." "It matters to me." Silence. Then, finally, she sighed. "It was a mistake. A one-night thing. I never told him. I never told anyone. And your dad? He agreed to raise you as his own. But after what he did, She exhaled sharply. "I didn't think you needed to know. I felt sick. All my life, I had hated this man for betraying our family. And now I realized that I had never even belonged to him in the first place. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was that my mother had spent my entire life convincing me that I was destined to be like him, that I had his flaws, his weaknesses. And now she was doing the same thing to my wife, poisoning Olivia against me over a fate that was never even mine to begin with. I left without another word. When I got home, Olivia was waiting for me. Her eyes flicked to the envelope in my hands. "What is that?" I handed it to her. She read it in silence. When she looked up, her face was pale. "Oh my God." "Yeah," I swallowed. "My mom lied to me. She lied to you. She's been poisoning us against each other because of something that was never even true." Tears welled in her eyes. "I'm so sorry." I pulled her close, feeling the swell of her belly between us. "I just need you to trust me. I need you to believe that I'm not him, that I never was." She nodded, pressing her forehead to mine. "I do. I swear, I do." That night we laid in bed whispering again, about our future, about breaking cycles, about raising our child in a home filled with trust instead of fear. I didn't know what I'd say. But for the first time in my life, I felt free.